Good evening, everybody. I'm going to call the meeting to order. The first order of business is to review the minutes from the March 21st, 2018 meeting. And did everybody get a chance to take a look at them?
Yes.
I know Tim did. Thank you. I looked at them. They look fine to me, but are there any questions, concerns, corrections? Other than the minor ones that Tim noted?
I thought they were extraordinary notes.
Extraordinary notes, wow. High praise. With that praise, I will make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from March 21st, 2018. Do I have a second?
Yep.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, carried. Okay, we have three cases of new business. The first case is Rutgerson. Is Mr. Rutgerson? Hello. Come on up. I don't know if you've done this before, but...
No, I haven't.
Okay. All we're looking for right now, and if you can, Fred would probably like you over there by the microphone, and if you can speak up.
Okay.
What we're looking for tonight is really just to see if there's enough information in the application so that we can accept it. And
Certainly.
assuming there is, we will set a public hearing. But the first order of business is just for you to take us through the application and for us to ask you questions, see if we need some more information, and see if we can accept the application tonight. So that's what we're doing.
Okay. I have a small farm right on the edge of town here. I want to put up a barn. I'm in the RC5 zoning district, which requires a 50-foot setback from the lot line. My existing garage is like a foot off of the lot line, but I need a 38-foot variance because there's only actually one location on the property that I can situate this barn, that it makes sense for the land that I'm currently cultivating and plan on cultivating, and putting it where it's set on the map. It will actually mirror the lot of my existing house and garage. As time goes forward, it will look the best. If I put it out in a different place, it was also BOHA'd with a septic system and well, which the well's been drilled, the septic is not in yet. So it makes sense on that level. And that's about it. I'm looking for a 38-foot setback variance.
Okay, and if you could come on up here. I just had a question as to, where we're talking about. Is it over here, if you know? Because here's Route 9. Come on up, everybody.
This is the lot
Yep.
in question.
Yep. And this is the proposed barn.
This is the proposed barn.
Okay, and where are we talking about needing the variance?
In
Which
here.
side? Off of here?
No, over here. I need this to be 12 feet to the side of the barn. And the way the code reads, it's supposed to be 50, which would put me here somewhere.
I'm not sure I'm understanding this. Because typically you'd have it's a side yard setback.
No, this is all one lot.
Right.
This
So is
is
it off of here?
all one lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's an L shape.
Yep.
Okay. I believe the code says 50 feet from this lot line to the side of my barn. I want it to be 12 feet. Just enough so I can get a tractor in between my existing garage and my proposed
It's usually
barn.
50 feet to a property line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Right.
That's
so
what we're
this
talking
is the
about.
property line.
Well, that doesn't, isn't this one piece of property right here?
No.
Okay. Oh, this is it. Okay, this is what I'm,
separate one.
okay. That's what I'm missing.
Can I draw on?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd encourage it, in fact.
This is one
Okay.
here.
Gotcha.
And that's where you said your current garage is sitting.
Yeah,
The existing's
my
right there,
existing
yep.
garage is here. It's
And
about
the
a
existing
foot
ha-
off of the lot line. This
Gotcha.
is my house.
Okay.
I think this is only 60 feet in the front.
Mm-hmm.
This is 120 here, but this is all open field.
Yep, I know it.
Yeah, and I have a stand of oak trees
Mhm.
kind of going back through here. So this barn
Mm-hmm. I see.
would normally be 50 feet, which would
Yep.
put me out here somewhere. I want to mirror this setup.
Mm-hmm.
There's a picture in here that
Yeah, it's right. not the greatest, but I understand. I know the property.
Yeah, it's a terrible copy. Anyway, the garage is back here, so if I can put the barn right next to it,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm inside the tree line, and when you look at it, the garage and the barn will be on the same
Yeah, level,
level.
right.
Right. Aesthetically, it would make sense, and it allows me to use the
Okay.
clear area that I have.
Now, all right, so thank you for clearing that up. So we're talking
Sure.
about here.
So you said, yeah, so
Yeah.
that's 12 feet?
Yep, that's 12
The
feet.
denial is 5, but that's.
No, that was wrong.
It was
said
the-
20.
And it's
That was
50.
from
It was
Mike when
corrected.
he was standing
Yeah,
in,
no,
yard setback side, it's 20 feet, but it's actually 50 in
Right.
RC5.
Oh, maybe that's.
Now,
So I need a 38-foot variance to bring that into
Yep.
what I would propose to do.
gotcha.
You are the owner of both lots.
Yes.
Another question. Do you have a picture of what the barn is going to look like?
There are, do we have, the blueprints here?
I do.
It's again,
You submitted it?
Gambrel Roof Farm.
Okay. Okay. If we could get a copy of that, if we have it already, great. I'd like to get a copy of it, just because one of the considerations we have to look at is, the effect on the neighborhood. So it's important that we take a look and see what the structure is going to look like. I'm sure it's going to be
Run
good.
down and get the blueprints? No, right where
Well,
they are.
what we can do is, we can accept the application, subject to you providing them to us, or if we actually have them in the building, Chris can maybe supply them to us.
I don't, there's only one copy for the building department.
Okay, can you get another copy? Supply another copy?
I have other copies. You know what a Gambrel Roof Farm is?
Not really.
Do you want me to put graphics?
The best thing is for us to see it visually, so we can see how it looks and compare it to, the house.
In 2 minutes, I got a really nice picture of what it looks like downstairs.
Well, typically,
You can insert after the next.
yeah, why don't we do this?
I'll
That-
sit back a little bit.
Well, does anybody have any other questions other than the ones that I posed about where the variance is and what you want to do?
You mentioned a well and a septic were being put in. Is that for the,
The lot has been Board of Health approved and engineered. The well is already in.
but is that a different well than the one you already have for your house?
Yes, it is.
Oh, and you need that for,
Farming,
okay. And another septic?
the septic would be for the barn.
It's useful to see where those are. on the map.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's on the, it's actually filed with your building department. And it's not, I was not told it was required.
and again, this is not unusual that we ask for just a couple more pieces of information, just so it's clearer for us.
The
But,
septic was cited here.
It's the side yard,
in this area.
yeah, but he's only got 12.
okay,
The well is
But it's
approximately here.
this is the new building.
This is the new
okay,
building.
so,
So he's.
so we can get,
Because this is the property.
Yeah, you have all the information from Dutchess County Health
I
Department.
got you.
okay. We don't have, it, the planning people may have
So
it,
it
but we'll
needs-
get it, okay?
38-foot.
So, sorry, just to be clear, so the barn will have a bathroom in it and
It
sink
will,
or
and
whatever?
an office.
And an office,
And 2 bays,
okay.
yeah,
Two bays?
2 bays like a 2-car garage.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
But
All right.
it's not going to be habitable. No one's going to be living there or anything like that.
No.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions?
No.
No?
Better sign it.
Okay.
Tim wants it.
You want it, Tim? It's yours. Okay, so Tim's assigned to this case. Subject to getting the additional information, I just want to see what the structure is going to look like, and if you can provide that, great. Either tonight or by the next meeting is what we would really need. I make a motion that we accept the application, subject to receiving the information on what the
Okay.
structure is going to look
So
like.
can I just reduce the picture that's on the blueprints, does that suffice for you?
As long as it shows what it's going to look like, that's really what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Because again, part of the considerations we have are how it's going to look in the neighborhood. Is it going to affect the neighborhood in some fashion?
Right.
So we need to see what it looks
It'll
like.
fit. It's country. I I mean, if you can
Okay.
picture a traditional barn where it doesn't have a peaked roof, it doesn't have a flat roof, it has like a tall arched roof, it's got a bunch of angles in it.
Okay.
It's that, on the short side would be basically not,
Okay.
you would get that.
All right, great. So, again, at this time, I make a motion to accept the, did we do that already? Accept the application, we did
You just
that.
need a second.
All right, I need a second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. We've assigned it. We need to make a secret
Seeker?
determination.
Yep.
And I know, Kim, you suggested, 617 5C3.
Yeah, that's for, it's a type 2 action for the construction of a barn,
Okay.
agricultural.
Would 12
building.
also come into play as well because it deals with
Areas.
setbacks? or line
You really
variances?
just need, you know,
Just the one?
just one is
Okay.
sufficient, and this one seems to really fit the mold for that.
All right. So, there's, yeah, but don't worry about it, it's just something that we have to do. We have to figure out what type of action it is under seeker. And our counsel has suggested, and I agree with her, that the seeker section that applies, it's a type 2 action, and it comes under 617.5C3. I'll make a motion that we find that way. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, and then finally, I need to make a motion for a public hearing. Chris, when's the next meeting date? May 16th? Can you be here on May 16th?
Sure.
Okay, we'll have
Whatever
a,
you need, whenever you need.
okay, well, May 16th is the next date we have. We'll have a public hearing after I make the motion. And your neighbors will be invited to come in and give comment. And you will go through the same spiel and explain to the audience, if there is an audience.
Even if there's not.
And even if there's not. We may have some more questions. But that's the next part. And you'll have pictures.
Yeah.
So that'd be great. So you can be here on that date. And with that, I'll make a motion that we set the public hearing on this matter for May 16th. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We'll see you on the 16th, and please get us that additional information. Thank you.
And Scott, before we move on, we have to do some
Great. Hey, I have one
referrals.
came with you.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
So,
thank you very much.
Planning board?
Yep, the planning board, the Dutchess County Planning Board, there's certain proper
Come by
actions
sometime
that can
next
be
week.
exempted from it, but because this is a non-residential
That's the main
use,
part of the deal, actually.
it's probably just safer
Okay.
to do it to Dutchess County Planning Board. It's within 500 feet of the Village of Rhinebeck, and also within the state road, which is
Okay,
Route 9.
right, Route 9. So, yeah, I think you're right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Dutchess County Planning?
Yep, and
Planning
also Rhinebeck
Board?
Planning Board, the town planning board,
Yep.
trigger area variance. There won't be a site plan needed because it's an agricultural use,
Okay.
but probably still refer it out to the planning board for comments.
Okay, any other referrals that,
And to the WAC, it's just
Okay.
within the LWRP. Probably
Right.
shouldn't get any concerns there, but,
all right, so we have 3 referrals then.
yep.
Okay. Great. All right, our next application is Von Stoddard. Is someone here from Von Stoddard? Hi, how are you?
Good. I'm Catherine Whitman.
Hi, Catherine.
Attorney on Stoddard.
How are you?
Good.
I assume you've been through the process. Yeah, great. Go up there and set up.
Okay.
So if you can just try to speak into the microphone. I know it's a little awkward, and you just tell us what you propose to do.
Okay, this property had been through the same process in 2015, asking to put in a garage. And we would still like to put in that garage, but just in a different location. It never got built, and we want to do it now, but moved over. And as well, we're adding a fenced swimming pool and a pool house.
And I
Well-
think I remember way back when you did the, it's like a artist,
Art studio,
Art
right,
studio.
right.
And
So
that
that
went
was completed,
okay.
that part of the initial application. So what happened in 2015 was, during the process, another wetlands was discovered on the property, which severely confined the buildable area. And that's shown along, well, this wetlands we knew about.
Do you mind just turning it a little bit towards us?
So this wetlands was listed in parcel access, and then it became clear that there was a wetlands here, which was discovered during their walkthrough because of the vegetation. And so that means the 100-yard setback from that line comes to here, right up against the house. And then the setback from the pond, which was a man-made pond added in the early 90s, came also right up to the house. So there's very, very little land remaining to put anything on it that's not within the wetlands buffer. So we're proposing now the garage that was approved for over here to be over here. Previously, it was in the Hudsonia wetlands buffer, and we'd be moving it into the buffer for the pond.
Okay.
And then adding a pool, which is in the Hudsonia buffer as well. The pool, the other variances requested are because this was the art studio that was approved in front of the house previously. And the garage is now in front of the house as well. And one of the reasons this doesn't seem to affect the neighborhood is because the road's all the way down here, and there's much more prominent another garage owned by the neighbor.
Yeah, it's the Butcher Boys.
Right, and
Yeah.
that garage is much more visible
Yeah.
from the road and is also in front of the house. The ridge of the proposed garage is taller than the allowable 20 feet. We want to go up to 28 feet. And as I said before, the pool and pool house are in the buffer, and so is the new garage. So those would be the 4 variances.
Now, let me ask you, and it may have been supplied, are there renderings showing what the structures are going to look like?
We have the front elevation, and I hadn't turned that in before, but
Okay,
this would be the garage and then the pool house.
all right.
And the second story on the garage will be used for,
Mostly for storage. It's not going to have any bathroom or
Okay.
anything.
It's not livable. It's not an
it won't be
apartment.
livable.
Okay. Do you have any other renderings? This is helpful, but if the more we have, the better that
That's all I
to
have
make it.
right now.
Okay,
The client doesn't want to pay for architectural services until this is approved and she knows it could go forward.
right. But it's kind of a catch-22 on the other hand. We kind of need to see what it looks like. I mean, I know the
Well,
property, but
It's
it's,
just a traditional gable garage with 2 custom garage doors with divided lights above. It's very traditional. The clapboard matches the clapboard of the house.
can we keep this?
Sure.
Okay.
And then the pool house is very small and also matches the window styling and clapboard of the house.
All right.
Do you have, what's the square footage altogether of all of these accessory buildings?
Have that, but I don't have it memorized.
Is the art studio 1 story?
No, that's 2-story.
The existing art studio.
Huh?
The existing art studio.
Right. But
Right,
so
but it-
between all of these things, don't they come over the limit for,
It could, as far as accessory structures.
yeah,
but
for
the,
accessory structures?
the,
Because you would add them together, right?
I would
Even
think
though-
so, yeah.
Yeah, and Larissa checked that
Okay,
when I submitted and we were under, so they.
okay.
They're under 1,500?
I think the 1,500 is per structure. Correct. And then there's like a separate, it's like a percentage of the land used for the aggregate? Like
Yeah, I don't think you can come under.
20% of the land? or
Yeah.
Oh, so the
something?
1,500 is
It's
per structure, but you
per
can have 10 structures if you don't?
Well, there's a limit,
I
you
mean,
know,
in theory.
you can have three
In theory, it would
roof
have to be an
structures,
awful
but,
big
yeah.
piece of property.
Right.
And plus, there's a certain number of accessory structures you can have without the need of a variance, so
Okay.
that would come into play.
You keep,
I will take this application because I think it's my turn, so you can put me down for this.
and you mentioned a variance for the wetlands. I don't think the ZBA does variance for the wetlands. I think you have to go to the planning board for that?
I'm doing that.
Okay, for the wetlands? Okay. So I don't think
So
a
should
var,
I remove that from the...
well, like there was, it looks like we have two from the denial letter. That is for the placing the accessory structure in front of the primary residence.
And then
for
the
one.
roof height.
And then the roof height. So that's
Those are the two.
And I listed those plus these two.
Yeah, I noticed that, but so, what, what was the amount paid, I guess?
Oh, it was just for the two variants.
For the two variants? Okay, so yeah, so you'll go to the planning board for the wetlands permit. So we just have two in front of us.
All right. Anybody have any other questions, concerns, requests for additional information?
The roof height, in some codes, I don't know, but if you could check on this, and sometimes the roof height is measured to the average height. I don't know.
I don't know off the top of my head how the code is written, but some municipalities do that.
Yeah, all right. Could you check on that?
Yeah.
Is the roof height actually going to be 23 feet? Because that's what appears on this, and the indication was it's 28?
28. No,
So this-
let me give you a different one. I'll send you a different one.
Okay.
Next time, or...
Yeah, as long as we, if we can actually have, that's great, but if I can have, we like more, just to give us a real idea of what the structure's gonna look like, kind of where it's situated. I mean, we'll do a site visit and all that kind of stuff. And then we'll need that staked out, where everything's gonna be.
Okay.
So when I
For
go
the site visit?
for the site visit, at some point in time, not immediately, but down the road. Just so we have an idea of where it is
All right.
when we go out and visit. So yeah, if you can supply me with the accurate one, because that shows 23 feet, not the 28 feet that's requested.
Right, okay.
All right. Anybody?
Is there any new well or other infrastructure required for the swimming pool? Or it's all
No.
in the existing
It's,
system?
they don't need a well for it because they're going to bring in water for it.
Okay, all right. And on this map, could we indicate where the well and septic is?
The septic is right here.
Maybe we can mark it on Catherine, since you asked the question. Can you come on over and
yeah.
show us?
Yeah.
Just so we have
There
it.
is no well because it's on the town water.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well,
The
that's cool.
septic area is right, yeah, right here. And
Okay.
that's the actual other one.
Oh, okay, right. The holding tank. Okay. Very good, thank you.
Okay, any other questions, concerns, requests for additional information? Nothing? All right. At this time, I'll make a motion that we accept the application with the additional, subject to the additional information that you're going to provide to us.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. We need to do a seeker determination, and Kim, you suggest C10?
Yes, for construction of a minor accessory residential structure.
Okay.
A lot of the examples include a garage, swimming pool, and fences.
All right, I think that's right. All right, so I'd make a motion that we find that this is a type 2 action under Seeker Section 617.5C10. Do I have a second? Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Can you be here on May 16th?
Yes.
All right. Then I make a motion that we set this matter down for a public hearing on May 16th. Do I have a second?
Yes.
All right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. We'll be here on, you'll be here on the 16th. Have you been through the process before?
Yeah, 2 questions. Is the site visit before that?
It can be before or it can be after. If you need more time, I'll probably
We'd
be making
rather
the site
have it
visit.
before, because the pool is trying to be put in before fall, like sometime this
Right,
summer.
but the way this works, we'll have a public hearing, and typically after the public hearing, I'll do a site visit very shortly. We have 62 days once we close the public hearing, assuming the public hearing is closed on the 16th. And we'll have probably a resolution by sometime in June at our June meeting.
Okay,
So you'll know probably by June if things go smoothly.
okay. And is the mailing still the responsibility of the owner and architect?
Not all this, not now, no.
For the public to?
I will do that.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Okay, so basically on the 16th, just be prepared to obviously submit the additional information, and you go through the same spiel here, only your neighbors will be notified, and they may or may not come, they may ask you questions, and you just be prepared to field questions,
Okay,
answer questions, okay?
okay, thanks.
Great, thank you.
And before we move on, we'll do
referrals.
referrals, yep.
All right, Dutchess County Planning,
Did you get a second on the public hearing?
yes.
Who was it?
Either one of us.
Thank you.
All right, so, well, first of all, we have the planning board, obviously,
The town, the Rhinebeck
Yeah.
Planning Board, yeah, for an area variance.
and
And then the WAC for its location in the LWRP.
okay, that's it?
Yep, it's exempt for an area variance for residential use, so we don't have to do it out to DC planning. And there's really no development in open space, so we don't need to do CIB.
Okay. All right. The next matter that is on is the Frenny matter. And come on up. Before we get going, I am going to recuse myself from this application.
I thought you may.
I know the applicant very, very well, and I discussed it with our counsel, and I just felt it prudent that I withdraw from this application. So, our vice chair,
All right.
Richard, will take over.
All right, if the applicant could state their name and how they're related to the project.
Sure. Good evening, folks. My name is Mike Gillespie from Gillespie and Stokoza Consulting Engineering. Tonight with us is the owner and the applicant, Charles Frenny, who is the owner and the applicant. We're at 172 Knollwood Road. We are in the RC5 zoning district. This application proposes actually the installation of an accessory structure, effectively a pool house. We made our application, and we've been working directly with Larissa downstairs, the zoning enforcement officer. There is a number of criteria which you have to determine the setbacks as related to an accessory structure. There's almost 5 criteria, and the most restrictive of those is what you go by. So it was determined by her that we are required to have a 50-foot rear yard setback for this accessory structure. So, that being said, when we made our application, we're asking for effectively a 19-foot variance, okay? Because I think we showed it at 31 feet. That being said, upon further consideration and evaluation and looking at the site, and actually the way the site is laid out, behind this pool house, the elevation rises, okay? So we had an excavator in there just kind of pick away at the edge of the slope to determine if we're going to deal with rock or soil or what may be. And in fact, while we did hit in one corner a little bit of rock, it's mostly soil. In addition, the area between the home and the proposed pool house itself, in here, it gets very, very tight. It's very restrictive. Again, this is a 5-acre minimum zone. This is a 3-acre lot. Presumptively, that is different zoning at the time when the lot was created. And that's pretty indicative of all the lots. If you look at the area map, these are kind of smaller lots. So what we, and we may have to amend our application as we move forward, we're actually looking to hopefully push the pool house back even further, okay, toward the rear line, so that we're 10 feet off of the property line. That would open up the area between the home and the pool house. The neighbor is quite a distance back from us and sits elevated. We have some photos to share with the board to get a feel for that. So that would amend our application and open it up a bit. We have provided, as part of our application, we provided some elevation drawings. We're trying to stick with effectively kind of an architectural residential tone within the neighborhood. I think that I have copies with me if you want to certainly take a look at those. Again, while it's not a huge application, there's a lot of things going on here relative to getting this okayed. At one point, we did actually look at putting in some sinks and so forth. That was going to open up some things relative to the health department, which, again, another agency dealing with another approval. So the idea is now there will be no sinks within it. There will certainly be an area for cooking. There'll be actually an exercise room for Charlie's wife and things such as that. The accessory structures do meet all the other criteria. This is the third one that would be proposed for the lot. We are under that 1,500. Okay, that was something we did check out and did vet out prior to coming here. So hopefully that gives you a quick overall of why we're here.
Could you describe the pool house itself? What is that going to contain? Separate rooms?
Yeah, was there floor plans provided as part of it? I think in the application that we provided elevation drawings as well as generalized floor plans. And you'll see it kind of in the middle, it's open. You kind of walk through, it's a big open area. On the right, there's a storage area. And or on the left, there's a storage area. On the right, there's kind of an exercise room that should be your last page there, but that should give you some idea of layout.
Could this be considered a separate structure to live in? More and more and more, all towns are concerned about Airbnbs and things like that.
In terms of a dwelling unit?
Yeah.
The answer is no. I think if you take a look and see the way it's set up when you walk in the middle and it's open air.
Is there a bathroom in the structure?
No. No bathroom, no sink. That would make it a little tough to live in.
Foundation plan.
One of the things that was brought up, we actually were told that we were going to go to the planning board for a special use permit and a site plan for this. We had a sit-down on Monday evening at a pre-meeting with members of the planning board, and because it's not a dwelling unit, we are not required to go before them, so we did take a look at that. Yeah.
And could you elaborate on the closest neighbor from the rear yard setback, from that property line?
I would venture to say that the closest neighbor is probably over 200 feet away, and Charlie has a couple of photos here if you'd like to take a look at them.
So this is with my back to the house, and this is the slope of the hill. Presumptively steeper, the neighbor is situated up here.
Okay.
So
thank you. That's
we're situated at this point. They kind of look down on the roof of my house.
Right.
They have some other.
And the pool's already in, is that?
Yeah, the pool went in when the house was built.
Okay.
And the pool is on the south side of the house.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
That gives you an idea of the
The house
slope.
together.
The pool house roof will be higher or at the same level as the height of land there?
It'll probably actually be a little bit lower than that.
So 3 sides of the pool house are going to be tucked in against
Yeah, so
grade.
I'm going to need to retain this soil back, and so the pool house is gonna sit in front of that, but the way the slope goes up, by the time you get to the top of the slope, it would probably be, about at the pool house height.
Because the elevations don't show any slope.
They will probably see the roof, but they already see your house.
Yeah, right now, they almost look down on the roof of my house. It's so high. It's hard to tell, but the house up above, you're looking at almost like the full foundation, and then the first floor, and then the house.
And just out of curiosity, do the neighbors know? Do you know the neighbors, or do you think they'll?
The only neighbor I really know is the neighbor across the street.
Yeah, okay. Because all the neighbors will be getting letters, and so.
They all know who I am.
And, thank you. And the reason why you can't have more of a rear yard setback would be why?
Well, number one is because there's, where the pool house is currently shown, let's say on the original application, there's a lot of, and in fact, there's a photo there too, in terms of existing patio and a number of existing features there that would have to be ripped up, removed. I think actually the pool heater, the filter, we're going to have to do some relocation, I think, with that anyway, but there's a lot of action there to put it, let's say, to meet the setback, we'd have to put it where the pool is or on the far side of the pool, and there's some slope and some other things that come into play on that. So I guess there's a lot of existing features relative to if we had to meet that setback in this location.
You'd have to put it on the other side of the pool.
It would have to go on the other side of the pool. Yep. And
Which would be a greater distance from the house.
it would be a pretty significant distance from the home. Yeah.
It's interesting how much bigger the pool house is than the pool.
Yeah.
You don't usually see that.
Yeah, it's 12, well, we have the area on the plan.
Much bigger than the pool.
Yeah, so actually, I added the storage unit on, which I hadn't planned to when I started getting into accessory structures on the property. And so rather than add another accessory structure, I incorporated it into this structure. And kind of the middle area is more of a pavilion, just to put the grill under cover. And really put
I see, so under the roof, not all of it is enclosed.
Right.
Got it.
Right.
So only one end really going to have heating.
Okay. Thank you for putting the septic and the pipes and the water line so clearly. That's really,
I'll have to give the credit to the surveyor, because that's, when the survey came across, that information was on there. Not to say we wouldn't have ticked it on anyway, but that's where it came from.
The approximate size of the pool is?
Swimming pool?
Yeah.
It is like 19,000 gallons. It's not a big pool, and my recollection is that it's 16 feet wide and maybe 32 feet long.
Thank you.
Yeah, the pool house itself is 1260 in terms of,
the pool must be 800, 600.
I would think something along that line, yeah. Just comparatively looking at the two.
You said that you might consider amending this to have a greater variance. When do you think you'll make that determination?
We're making that determination. We're asking respectfully for that tonight. If we have to amend our application, I just don't, if the board is kind enough to allow us to move the public hearing next month, I just need to know what I need to do to amend the application, make sure that the publication is correct, whatever needs to be done, but we're really looking.
What is the second variance?
There's no second variance, it's just we're amending the variance that we're looking for.
You want a bigger variance?
We would like a larger variance.
Closer to the boundary.
Yeah.
Right, we're looking.
You'll know that.
We need a 40-foot variance rather than the 31-foot variance. That's,
You propose it's 40 feet.
yes.
Okay.
That wasn't, with the original application, we didn't take a few things into consideration, so we're going to have to amend that.
Well, right now, it says requested 30.5 feet, but the variance is only 19.5. So
Right,
you want to be a little bit farther away from the house.
yes,
Just 10 feet off the property line.
Right.
correct.
Right.
Which would then interpret, correct.
40-foot variance. Thank you. Any other questions? All right. I'll then make a motion to accept the application. Is there a second?
I would just ask that you
Okay.
put something in writing so we can have it for the record, that the distance is greater, that you're asking for.
If it's as simple as that, that's fine. I thought I'd
Yeah, I
have to
think that should, 'cause,
resubmit
I mean,
everything.
the
It's
plans don't
whatever,
really change, it's just a matter of a greater.
for the record.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could document that with something in writing. So,
Yep.
so the motion to accept is subject to providing that information. David, you second?
Yes.
David second the motion to accept the application.
Yeah,
So then you would be available on...
Well,
Go ahead.
was there a vote on the, I heard
I'm
a.
sorry?
Was there a
Go ahead.
vote?
No, there was not a vote.
Okay.
Can we have a vote on that, please?
Aye.
Those in favor? Right. And those opposed? Thank you. So the next public hearing is on May 16th, and you're available for that?
Yes.
Okay. Make a motion to have the public hearing on May 16th.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, so you're on for May 16th, and then we have a little bit more work to do as to secret, et cetera.
Great.
So,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you very much, folks.
You're
Catch you
welcome.
later.
Okay.
Sign that, Rich?
Right, thank you, David. All right, I'll take this one, if that's good with everyone, okay? Okay. Okay, and Kim, now we're talking about the CEQA action. This.
Yeah, I'd recommend the type two.
617-5C10.
Right, that's just like the last application where it's,
Good.
you know, putting a minor accessory structure for a
Okay,
house.
got it. And then the referrals, the Dutchess County Planning exempt, Rhinebeck Planning Board required, CAB not required, and WAC not required. All right. I think that's everything.
Yep.
And thank you again.
And thank you, Richard.
All right, you are welcome.
Okay, that's it for the new business. Next, we have some public hearings. First matter that's on is McKay. So if you could come on up and, is anyone here for the McKay matter? All right, okay. There'll be an explanation of what is being proposed. If you have any questions, concerns, please come on up and state your name, where you live. Yeah, after he gets done, state your name, where you live, and your question for the applicant. Okay?
Okay. All right, so I'm Richard McKay. My wife and I are looking to build a house on this property, which is on Upper Hook Road. We are just off of 199, so I think everyone knows where that is. This was a development that was put together in 2006, I believe. And this is sort of the center lot of that. It's a flag lot, so there's a thin piece of access from Upper Hook to get into the site, and then it's surrounded by properties. The original zoning was R5A, so it was for 5-acre parcels. This is 5.8 acres. Subsequently, the zoning was changed to RA10, which required 10 acres. There are larger setbacks associated with the larger with the new zoning. And so what we're requesting is that at the side yard, that we be granted a variance to go with the 50-foot setback from the old standard so that we can fit the property, or fit the house location on the property. There's really, with the wetlands and the proposed septic, there's really no buildable area except pretty much where the house is designed to go. So that's what we're proposing.
Okay. And Kim, as I recollect, you submitted to us a memo and confirmed that in fact there's only one variance.
Right, just
that is
one
required.
variance would be needed for the side yard setback.
Okay. So I know the application had more than that at the beginning, but we're down
Yeah.
to one.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody have any questions, concerns? Come on up, state your name, and voice your concerns, questions, whatever you have. And Mr. McKay hopefully can answer the questions for you. You can lower that. No, sorry.
Hi, good evening. My name is Petra Epperlein. I'm a neighbor. I actually live together with Mike Tucker, my husband. We live here, I believe, on River Road. My question is, actually maybe I can see this, where is the building site?
So this is the whole site.
Yeah.
So that's what you're seeing here, and we are at the southern end of it. So we are right here.
Okay, so you want to move your building closer to this?
We want to propose it as it's drawn right now.
Okay. And that is like less than 100 feet.
Yeah, that's 50 feet.
Okay. So my other question is, where's the wetland?
Wetland is here.
Mm-hmm.
Shown. Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How big is the house going to be?
2,700 square feet.
Okay. That's all the questions I have.
That's just going towards, can I look, because I just did want to make sure we understood.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going that way?
This is, okay, so north is up. This is the Rhinebeck, or the bridge over to Kingston. So we're at the southern end of the lot down in here.
But the variance is?
So the variance is because if you look at the red line here, this was the old zoning, and this dashed line here is the new zoning.
Okay.
And when you take into consideration the wetlands and septic, we would be able to build a house on that land right there.
Okay.
Which is, we could put a shack. We could probably
Does it make
build
sense to you?
Yes.
Okay.
150 square feet.
Sir, could you please state your name for the record?
Oh, I'm Michael Tucker at 608 River Road.
Can I ask you a question? I know this is the building commission. Are there any rules and regulations about the trees in the wetlands, or like generally, because this is a wooded area?
We're not concerned with that. We have a very limited scope, whether we can give variances from the zoning code. Kim, maybe you can answer.
Yeah, Rhinebeck does have a wetlands law.
I know.
I don't know off the top of my head what class of wetlands is. Is that DEC or?
No, it's federal.
Federal?
Yeah.
So usually there's a 100-foot buffer for Rhinebeck. And so if you're going to be are you disturbing any of the?
We're in that zone here with our drive, because in order to be able to get into the site, to even be able to use it, we have to encroach upon that 100-foot buffer.
Have you gone before the planning board?
We're in the process. We are redesigning our septic system to make it smaller, so we don't have to cut down as many trees, so we can minimize the site impact that way.
Okay.
So we're in the process of doing
site
that right
plan.
now. Yeah.
So the issues
Yeah.
of the wetlands will be addressed at the planning board level. You know, there are restrictions as to what you can cut down in the wetlands, and the planning board.
Yeah.
will
Well,
be
our
more-
intention is to not touch anything within that
Within the
area.
buffer.
We have to clear a certain amount of area to build the septic system, but as minimal as we can make it, we're going to keep as many trees as we can.
And you'll have an opportunity at the planning board level, too, to be heard.
Okay.
So.
Do I learn about that the same way, like letters are being
Yeah.
written?
Yeah, there should be a,
It's gonna
there
be
should
a
be a
letter
public
to
hearing
clean
for
back
that.
while
And
it's
if
on
you're,
in
you
bunkers.
should at least get notice.
Yeah.
How close are you to the property?
Oh, we are on the other end of the wetland. We have basically the wetland goes through here. We also have wetland. Maybe we,
Like 200 feet from the property? That's what I was at. Like, I don't know if you know
oh,
the
the
distance.
building?
No, of the property line.
Oh, we have a,
you'd
You're
be in it.
adjoining? Oh, so you probably should actually be notified directly about it, but
okay.
there'll be a public hearing notice anyway. I think for the planning board, you'll have to be required to put a sign on your yard for a notice.
Yard?
I think that's how the planning board works, that you put a sign
Oh,
on
okay.
your note. Yeah,
I don't
you'll-
know. Okay.
They'll tell you all
All right.
about it, but
Okay.
yes, you should
Yeah.
be noticed of it.
All right, that's all questions I have.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks,
and
guys.
the other thing, just so you are both aware, this blue line here indicates the amount of area that we would disturb or ostensibly disturb. We made it very generous because we wanted to show, we could maybe possibly disturb that much area. With the redesign of the septic system, it's going to make it smaller, and so that will come in a little bit more even. So, but if you see that blue sort of bubble, that indicates the area. So this is the wetlands up here. There's nothing, we're not doing anything until we get down to here.
And this is just following that old service track, right?
That's correct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. We're just bringing it into the site.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Okay. Sir? If you could come up and please state your name and where you live and whatever questions.
My name is Frank Intervallo. I live at 594 River Road. My only question is, can the proposed building site be moved slightly further north? It
No.
seems like there's space there.
No, because for a couple of reasons. One is that we already have this wetland setback. It's actually larger even than is shown here, just as over time it's grown. We have the septic system here. We're on a slope. This thing is sloping down to the north, and so we're chasing this slope with our regrading of our septic. So we're trying to catch up with it eventually, and so it takes a lot of room to get this. And the further down you go, the worse it gets. So as we move this further down, it becomes more of a problem in that area. So for many reasons, that's that's the ideal location for the site. And the well is situated here, and that's where the
Is that the actual footprint of the house?
Yeah.
If you were to angle the house that way, you'd be almost within the 100-foot boundary without any variance.
No, because we have to be 20 feet from the septic, and we have to be within the setback. We have to be within the setback regardless. So this is the actual line. You can't put the house in there and then put the septic system in there and still be away from the wetland buffer.
If the house were here, you wouldn't be in the septic zone. It's a terrible piece of property. It probably should never have been subdivided to begin with, but
Well, it was subdivided and it was code compliant until 2009, so.
Correct.
so then he has no other alternative.
Well, from what we see, he has very limited alternatives, and that's what happens in a lot of these kind of cases where, you have wetlands and things like that, and if the law hadn't changed in 2009, he wouldn't be in front of us. But because of the change, he has to be in front of us, and that does happen when you have older approved subdivisions, and that's just, we see it from time to time. So, given the topography and where he can put things, he is very limited, and this is not an unusual case where people are very limited where they can put a structure.
What's to the south? Are there trees here?
There's trees, the whole lot's wooded.
Yeah.
The entire lot's wooded. Yeah.
And these trees will be remaining on the south?
Yeah.
Right here.
All this buffer here.
Side yard setback, I think, is right over here, yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me. I just wanted to make sure, are you Anthony Capallo down here in this lot or
No,
this lot?
I'm Intervallo on 594 River Road.
Okay, and so which,
I don't abut the property.
okay.
I'm sorry, and your first name is?
Frank.
Thank you.
Frank, sorry,
I'm
thank
sorry.
you.
I think it's right here. So it's the driveway? It's not-
We're going to need to do a site visit.
Pardon?
Can a vehicle, well, first of all, we'll need permission to access the property.
A vehicle can make it to the end of the existing gravel road, no problem. Beyond that, you probably need some mud boots, yeah. Yeah. Depending on how the weather is, yeah. Because it's just a forest. I mean, you know, it's a wooded lot. Yeah, it's all staked out, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
Everything's staked out. The original proposed septic is staked out, as is the house, corners of the house, as are the lines of the setback on this side. So that's all flagged in the field.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Do you mind if we go out
No.
there and take, well, we have to go and take a
Yeah,
look out there?
yeah.
Do you need us, do you need to be there, or can we?
No, I don't need to be there.
Okay.
If I recall, you were under contract to buy it? This is.
Yes,
Yep.
that's correct.
So the landowner actually would need to give us permission.
Well, I have his
He's
authorization.
acting as a representative.
Would you be so kind as to
Yep.
just point to the variance needed here?
Okay, the variance that we're asking for
Yep.
is this side here. So here's, the red is the old line.
Yep.
Here is the new line.
Oh, that's the new line,
Yeah.
okay. So it's really, I
Right.
see. So you really, I see, most of the house is within.
Is within that,
the
because
setback.
if we,
Yep.
yeah, you can
Okay.
see the issue. If we actually moved it up to the other line, you wouldn't be able to.
No, so it's actually, so it's this. Sorry. So this is the new line, and everything south of it is requiring a setback.
The only portion of it,
Yeah. Tiny part of it doesn't need a setback.
yeah. Any more questions, concerns?
Are you the architect or the owner?
I'm the owner.
Are you the owner?
Yeah,
Okay.
or potentially the owner. Yeah.
Any more questions or concerns of the board members? No? Audience? All right. At this time, I'd move to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
One more?
Did we have a picture of the house?
Yes, it was
In the-
actually
Okay,
supplied.
as long as you have it. Good,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep. So we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, we've closed the public hearing.
Okay.
And what that means is we have 62 days from today to issue a resolution, determination on where we're going to go on this thing.
Okay.
Most likely, we'll have that resolution at our next meeting. You don't have to be here.
Okay.
If you want to, you're more than welcome. But we'll probably have a prepared formal resolution at the next meeting in May.
Okay.
Great,
All right,
thank you very
you.
much. And there probably will be people traipsing around the property, so.
I think that's fine.
I'm sure
Shouldn't be a problem.
Herman's not going to care.
No, he doesn't care. Yeah. Just wondering if the Capalbos who are to the south and to the west would want to know. But just as a courtesy, but other than that.
Yeah, well, we can explain who we are, so. All right, great, thank you very much. Before, who's writing this one up? Richard? Okay. Yes, sir.
Oh, I just didn't know, or is that was it, right? Okay, we're good, okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we move on to the next public hearing, a sense of where we're going on this one. I mean, from my perspective, I don't think it's an issue. I think it's fine. And I would go for approval of the variance, but that's just my opinion. So,
Similarly, I feel the same way.
okay.
Could you just show me that exactly?
Yes. This is basically this house, so the new line is basically across here, as I recollect, right?
Yeah, it's the new line is this yellow.
Yeah.
Inner dash
So
line.
now
Yeah.
it's almost entirely
So
inside the setback.
that's compliant now.
Right, the rest of it is.
The rest of it isn't, so he needs.
No, it's compliant against this line,
Right.
which is the old.
The old one. Yeah, he was compliant.
Right,
He
right.
was compliant.
And he's
That's
almost,
why.
no, he's one tiny bit compliant.
He's one tiny bit compliant.
On the new one.
On the
Okay.
new.
That's
Yep.
Right.
The ground shifted underneath, that's why this seems like it's approvable.
Yeah, no, and there's really, I mean, subject to going out there and taking a look at the property and verifying what the applicant says is true, and from the other folks, it didn't appear that what he was saying was not accurate. You know, it seems like this is probably about the only place you can put the house. So, to me, it would have been code compliant before 2009. I don't have a problem with it, but I'd like to hear what my fellow board members think.
Feel the same?
I mean, something with a visit,
Okay.
you know, throws a wrench.
Right, we're not, this isn't an absolute, it's just kind of an idea of when we're telling Richard to write it.
That's it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so I guess an affirmative, subject to the site inspection and the final approval.
Right.
I'm good.
Okay, great. All right, finally, we have the real matter. Mr. Graminski? If you could. And it doesn't appear that there's anybody here for you, for the application. But,
So to bring the board up to speed, at this last meeting, the public hearing was continued
Right.
this evening, pending meeting with the planning board, which occurred on Monday. And so the planning board, and so the application from the planning board was for site plan and special permit for an accessory structure with a dwelling unit. The planning board actually left their public hearing open since they could not approve, since the zoning determination by this board has not been met. They can't approve without zoning compliance. But they did render a decision with regard to, they issued a neg deck.
okay, and that's what I was going to ask you, if they, because I think the last time around, they hadn't made a secret determination.
No, so they made a secret determination and they issued a neg deck so that this board could have
Go
the
forward.
ability to move forward.
Okay.
Does the board need any more information?
That, I think, is really what we were waiting for. We needed to have the secret determination before we could close the public hearing, and so that was the holdup. Unless anybody else has any, I think we are, who's writing this one up? Okay, Catherine, you have it? I think we have a pretty good idea of what the applicant is proposing.
Okay.
And, we'll go out and do the site inspection. I know we've been out there before for other applications, but we'll go out there. But I think we have enough, so I guess at this time I would move to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Aye.
Aye. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, the public hearing is closed, and we will...
In terms of a site visit, do we need to work through you?
Yeah, I think I would just like to notify the applicants when the board members would like to visit the site, so.
It's probably on the application. Typically, you have the telephone number, or maybe that's yours.
Yeah, I've got, I have residents who will be contacted.
Probably Catherine, since she's writing it. I mean...
Yeah, we were talking about going potentially on Saturday.
What's on?
11 a.m.?
Actually have a meeting.
No, and it could be another time.
No,
Yeah.
I have a meeting in April. I think I could probably be back.
Well, it could be 12.
Schedule will be
It
back.
could be 12.
12, is 12 better?
No, I'll just say 11 o'clock. I mean, Catherine, did you have a contact? Could you just email? You could just email me.
Yeah,
Just so I can check with you.
Excellent.
Okay.
So this Saturday at 11.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Okay. That's all we have for this evening. I don't know if you want to,
Well, did anybody have any thoughts on this?
yeah, that's what I was going to get at, is whether we wanted to start talking about our ideas or whether you wanted to wait. And, I mean, I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no at this point in time. They're asking for a lot. I would like to do a site inspection myself to get I've been to the site before on a prior application, but I'd like to go out there again just to get some more perspective. I'm kind of on the fence. That's where I am, but.
Can you remind me, we can go 2 at a time? If we don't.
Quite frankly, I've been told, I think John said, that there's no issue about us, having the whole group. As long as you don't discuss it.
Yeah, basically, under open meetings law, if you have a quorum, it can technically be considered a meeting, which is, if it's obviously on somebody's property, it's not compliant with the open meetings law. It's always best to go when you don't have a quorum that could trigger it. However, we have done research on it. As long as there's no official business discussed, if you're just going to the site to gather information, you could go.
Like with the gravel pit, we had.
Exactly, yeah. There was no discussion of the application. It was really just gathering information. Exactly, yes.
So you're thinking about 11 on Saturday? I might join you on that if that's okay. The more the merrier.
Good day.
Does anybody want to join me on a site visit to Rutgerson? There's no.
To which one?
To the farm.
Yeah,
The
I will.
first application.
There's no big rush, because
Yeah.
all right.
Okay, but yeah, I'd like to go.
All right, so you may have several people on Saturday at 11 a.m. Great.
Good, good.
So I heard one from you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really up in the air. I got to think a little bit. Yeah, rest of the gang, does anybody have any preliminary feelings?
I'm in favor of it, but of course subject to going out there.
Okay.
I'm a bit up in the air.
Yeah, I want to see what the neighbors can see before I.
Yeah, the neighbors can't see much, but you'll see that. You'll get the whole idea.
Lean in favor.
But I know we had some concern from the neighbors about it being used as a rental.
Right, and I think they're.
I've been pretty.
Well, you've been very upfront, and
Upfront and also, not only, I did not, I just said, relayed to the planning board the discussion that we've had here. And I said, although no resolution has been prepared by this board, that they were certainly leaning towards having a condition that it not be used
right.
as an Airbnb. And so I've explained that to the planning board, and I think that's, they were under that understanding.
Yeah, I think that's something we would want to have in the resolution, and as a condition to approval.
Right.
And I will look for some.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, is that on our purview, or is that the planning board's purview to insert a
We in the past have put in provisions for that.
You can usually, so with area variances, you are allowed to put conditions that are reasonably related to the land. I think at the last meeting, if I read John's notes correctly, I think there was a similar question posed. I haven't had a chance to really dive into it, but just generally, reasonable conditions, obviously, when you
relate to.
right, and when you do a variance, it does run with the land, so that is a consideration.
Well, my concern is just that it feels to me like we're effectively spot zoning, and that if the town as an entity has an issue with Airbnb, that we should zone it, that we should create a law that applies to everybody fairly. So I guess I sort of feel uncomfortable. I don't know if it would, that might be a case of a 4-1 decision, but I'm not entirely.
Which is nothing wrong with a 4-1 decision.
No, exactly, and I'm just suggesting I don't feel entirely comfortable saying,
where
and we have to actually
into an applicant's head.
Yeah. And the applicant is agreeable to it, that's one thing too. But on the other hand, I got to tell you, I've experienced on being this board where people have said that, no, it's not going to be an Airbnb, and then all of a sudden, it is an Airbnb. And then we got neighbors who have been,
But I guess I
But
see-
Dave does bring up a good point, and that is one of the things that, before we recommend a condition, I think John and I are going to look a little bit further into it to make sure that that is not spot zoning. I don't know if spot zoning is the right term, but, just to make sure that is within the purview of the conditions.
Yeah, I guess my thing is if it's already been represented that this is the way it's going to be, and there's no problem with it, and it's been represented to the neighbors who were here and specifically asked about it, then if you're willing to represent on the record that this is not going to be, you should be willing to have it in writing in a resolution. That's my
Yes,
humble opinion.
I guess the legal question is if we can have it as a condition to the variance, there might be other avenues in which that can be addressed. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know if it can be as a condition to the variance, and that's something that we have to look a little bit into.
Well, when you look at that, could you also possibly look at whether it could be a condition dependent on any future, zoning laws that Rhinebeck puts in place?
You mean like if Rhinebeck eventually adopts
If they get organized and put something in place?
Yeah,
then that's
I would think that with a variance, as long as if the variance is just for the location of the structure, and then a zoning law, the Rhinebeck law changes, yeah, anything would apply to that. So, there are certain things that are grandfathered in, but uses go with the, if for example, Airbnb were currently permitted in there, and then it's used as an Airbnb, and then later a zoning law were to come and say it can't be, that's kind of when it's grandfathered in, but otherwise it goes with the flow of the zoning law. So whatever's the zoning law at the time will apply to it. So if Airbnb is eventually regulated in some way, which I don't know if, anything about that, but then that will apply to this land.
Okay.
All right, so we'll see you on Saturday. All right, thank you. That's all I have on the formal agendas. Does anybody have anything else they want to discuss? Any concerns? Kim, anything?
No. I don't know what this, and maybe this is something different with local law. I don't know what this is.
There was, I think there was an issue as far as publication, and I just saw it this afternoon. Maybe Chris, you could speak to that.
Yeah, I just got in this afternoon, so I'm sorry for the delay. We had a meeting Tuesday afternoon of the processes downstairs and how they should go. And in that discussion, I asked about the status of the public hearing notices being sent by the applicant, because that was brought up historically.
Right.
And they said they were going to change the law. So that actually has been changed. I just was not notified of it.
Okay, so,
And
at
that's the
the
amendment.
Monday, was that when did this go into effect?
The meeting was on Tuesday. I don't know when that was. That had been done. I just was not notified.
And just generally, what was the change? Was the change from you doing the publication to the applicant having some responsibility?
So what happens is I usually do the buffer, the Freeman, and mailings. Then I request the money from the applicants, receive it, do all that. Now it's going to be the applicant's responsibility to do that. I provide the 500 buffer list, the public hearing notice, but now there's something new in our area, which we haven't been doing.
Is it the sign?
Property sign.
Okay.
So that's in addition to what I've been doing. We're going to have to ask
The intent was to make it easier by having the
Because the
applicant
planning
do
board
this?
already has the applicant do it, and there was a question why I need to. because
Consistency, I
wasn't-
guess.
At first, I wasn't collecting money for the public hearings, so that was a town expense.
Yeah.
And then we decided to have the applicant pay for those expenses because planning board already has done that, so they get a little light in zoning.
Right.
So that's when that took effect, or that was a question that I will be doing.
Okay.
So for the public hearings that are scheduled for May,
I didn't know that this had taken effect or when.
so starting in May, we'll start implementing.
New applications,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Anything currently on the agenda, I already told them that I handle it, so I didn't think I should go back and
Change
say,
it,
yeah,
right.
and then confuse
Okay.
the situation, make it any more difficult for the new applicants. So I figured that maybe the next new applicant, we can maybe announce that, or I can announce that these are the
Right.
requirements.
Yeah, I think
That's a
as
good
long,
idea.
yeah, as long as, I think that's fine, you know, just to keep it, but yeah, so from here on out,
Yes.
we'll let them know whatever procedures they need to do. Okay, perfect.
All right, motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? You can stay.
Yes, right.